Close your eyes and let the sands of ancient Persia rise gently before you. The soft winds carry whispers of empires, kings, and the eternal flame that glowed within the temples of Zoroastrian fire. Tonight, we will not march into battle with noise and chaos, but float quietly above history, watching it unfold like a dream across the desert sky. The Persian Wars, the clash of great kingdoms, and the quiet guiding hand of Zoroastrian wisdom will weave together into a tapestry of calm reflection. This is not a tale of victory or loss, but of spirit, faith, and the eternal search for light over darkness. As the hours pass, let the weight of your day dissolve into the distant horizon. May these stories become gentle waves that rock you into rest, while your soul finds comfort in the sacred glow of Persia's fire. If this journey brings you peace, you are welcome to subscribe and return to more stories under the stars. Share in the comments where you are listening from, so our circle of dreamers may grow across the world. The desert waits in silence. The sky above it stretches wide, painted in soft shades of twilight. Stars are beginning to appear, one by one, like small lanterns lit in the heavens. The air is still, holding the breath of a land that has carried countless generations, countless prayers, countless dreams. You drift here now, upon this ancient soil. The desert floor is cool beneath the long shadow of the mountains. Those mountains stand like timeless guardians, their ridges carved by the hand of eternity. They have watched rivers come and rivers fade, kings rise and kingdoms fall. And still, they remain steady and unmoving, like great witnesses of time. Far below, a river winds its way through the dry earth. Its waters glisten faintly under the pale light of the moon. Every ripple seems to carry memory, as if the river remembers the footsteps of the first travelers, the first shepherds, the first people who looked up at the stars and wondered about the hidden powers of the world. The water whispers as it flows, not in words but in feelings, quiet, steady, eternal. The desert is not empty. It hums with life unseen. In the hush of night, the wind moves slowly across the sand, brushing against stone, sliding along the edges of forgotten paths. You can almost hear it, soft tones, like distant flutes played on the lips of the air. The wind carries the scent of dry herbs, of earth warmed by the day, of smoke rising long ago from fires that no longer burn. Here in this stillness, the seeds of belief were planted. Long before empires, before battles, before written words, people came to this land and felt its quiet power. They looked upon the endless horizon and they felt small, yet connected to something vast. They felt the presence of light, the warmth of the sun that rose each day to chase away the shadows. And they felt the mystery of the night, where stars turned in silence above them. One voice rose among them, the voice of a prophet, a teacher, a guide. From the whispers of the desert came Zoroaster, whose heart was filled with visions of truth. He spoke of light and shadow, of good and evil, of the eternal struggle woven into all things. He told of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, whose flame burned brighter than any sun, whose light was the essence of creation itself. Imagine now a small fire in the desert night. Its flames rise gently, glowing gold against the darkness. The fire does not roar. It does not consume in fury. Instead, it shimmers softly like a star brought down to earth. Around it, men and women sit in silence. Their faces are touched by warmth, their eyes reflecting the dance of the flame. They do not see it as only fire. They see in it the pure presence of the divine, a spark of the eternal truth that guides the world. The mountains echo with this belief. The stars lean close as if to listen. The river carries it onward, so that even the soil, even the stones, remember the name of the wise lord, Ahura Mazda. This land, once quiet, now hums with faith, with the rhythm of prayer rising like smoke to the heavens. And still, the desert remains gentle. No clamor, no harsh sound, only whispers, the whispers of eternity carried softly across the sands. Every grain of dust has been touched by the feet of those who wandered, who prayed, who dreamed. Every breeze holds a memory. The land itself has become a temple, endless and open, where the sky is the ceiling and the stars are the lamps that guide the way. The first empire begins to stir here. Cyrus will come, and with him the dream of unity, of gathering many peoples into one great harmony. But tonight, there are no armies, no kings, no walls. There is only the birth of spirit, the spark of belief in the human heart, glowing against the silence of the desert night. You may rest here, as the first believers once did. The stars move slowly overhead. The moon drifts quietly across the heavens. The fire glows in your memory, steady and calm, never fading. In its warmth there is no fear. In its light there is no confusion. Only clarity, only peace, only the assurance that beyond shadow, beyond time, there is always light. The desert knows patience. It does not hurry. It does not press forward. It allows all things to unfold in their time. The seeds planted here, seeds of faith, seeds of empire, will one day grow into greatness. But for now, they sleep beneath the soil, waiting, dreaming, resting in the care of the eternal flame. Close your eyes in this land of whispers. Feel the gentle wind brush your cheek. Hear the faint song of the river flowing without end. The desert cradles you as it once cradled the first prayers, the first hopes. Here, you are safe, you are still. You are part of the great silence that has always been and will always remain. Let the mountains guard you tonight. Let the stars watch over you. Let the eternal fire, unseen but ever present, warm your soul with its light. Now rest. The story of Persia has only just begun, but for this moment, you need only the quiet desert, the flowing river, and the endless sky. Drift gently onward, carried by the whispers of the ancient desert. The night deepens over the desert. Stars shimmer like silver dust across the heavens, and the moon leans low, gentle as a watchful guardian. The air is calm, carrying the coolness of twilight. Somewhere in the distance, a small flame flickers, glowing softly in the shelter of stone walls. It is no ordinary fire. It is a sacred fire, tended with reverence, a living symbol of the divine. You drift closer, step by step, as though carried by the breeze. The temple is quiet. Its pillars rise like tall trees, steady and unmoving, their shadows stretching across the polished floor. At the center, within a simple altar, rests the flame. It glows steadily, not fierce but calm, like a golden heart beating in silence. Around it, the air feels warmer, softer, touched by an unseen presence. This is the eternal flame. It burns in the name of Ahura Mazda, the wise Lord, the source of light and truth. To the faithful, it is not only fire, it is purity itself, a reflection of the divine order that shapes the world. Its glow is a reminder that even in the deepest night, there is always light. Even in the midst of struggle, there is always truth. The priests of the temple move with slow, careful steps. Their robes rustle gently as they add clean wood to the flame, never letting it fade. Their hands are steady, their faces calm, for they believe that this fire carries prayers upward to the heavens. Each spark is a whisper of devotion. Each wave of heat is a bridge between the seen and the unseen. The fire dances softly, casting golden patterns upon the stone walls. Sometimes it bends as though bowing to an invisible rhythm. Sometimes it rises straight and tall, as if reaching upward to touch the sky. Its movements are gentle, yet filled with meaning. To watch it is to feel the quiet presence of Ahura Mazda, the ever-living source of wisdom. In Zoroastrian faith, fire is more than warmth or light. It is a mirror of truth. It cannot lie. It reveals what is hidden. Just as shadows flee before a flame, so too falsehood fades before the presence of truth. The flame stands as a guide, reminding the people to walk in harmony, to choose the path of honesty, kindness, and light. You feel the warmth upon your skin. It is steady, never overwhelming. It soothes like the comfort of a gentle hand resting upon your shoulder. It tells you that you are safe, that you are part of something eternal. This fire has burned in countless temples across centuries, carried from one generation to the next like a torch passed through time. Imagine the travelers who once walked across deserts and mountains. They carried embers wrapped carefully in clay, so the sacred fire would never die. Wherever they went, they rekindled it, building new temples, new sanctuaries, new places of peace. And in every place, the flame glowed with the same golden light, a thread of eternity connecting past to present. The people who gather around it do not see only fire. They see hope. They see the presence of the divine in a form their eyes can behold. In the flicker of the flame, they see the eternal struggle of light against darkness, of good against evil, of truth against falsehood. Yet the fire never doubts, never hesitates. It simply burns, clear, steady, and true. The desert winds may howl outside, but inside the temple, the flame remains untouched. It is protected, sheltered by stone and devotion. In the same way, the teachings of Zoroaster remind the soul to protect its inner light. The world may bring storms, yet within, a flame can continue to glow. This is the lesson carried in every spark, that the divine lives not only in temples, but also within the human heart. Close your eyes and imagine that flame within yourself. It glows softly, steady and calm at the center of your being. It asks nothing of you but to shine in truth, to remain pure, to guide your steps through shadow. No matter how dark the night, that inner flame is there, waiting, burning, eternal. The temple air is filled with stillness, broken only by the soft crackle of wood. It is a music older than memory, a song that rises without words. The priests bow their heads, lips moving in prayer. Their voices are quiet, almost like a breeze, carrying words of praise to Ahura Mazda, the giver of life, the protector of order, the guardian of truth. This flame is not only a reminder of the divine, it is also a mirror of time itself. It has no beginning, no end. It shifts, yet it remains. One spark becomes another, one flame feeds the next, yet the fire is always the same. Just as generations pass, yet the spirit of humanity continues, the flame too is unbroken. Outside the temple, the desert stretches wide. The moon climbs higher, the stars grow brighter, and the world rests in silence. Yet here, inside these walls, the eternal flame continues to glow, untouched by time. It burns as it burned yesterday, as it will burn tomorrow, as it will burn long after the footsteps of this night are forgotten. You drift closer still, feeling the warmth, watching the light shimmer across the stone floor. It invites you to rest, to breathe, to let the worries of the day dissolve into the quiet glow. The flame does not hurry. It does not press forward. It simply exists, steady and calm, teaching by its presence alone. Now imagine the countless souls who have stood where you stand. Kings and queens, shepherds and children, travelers and priests, all have gazed upon this flame. All have felt its warmth. All have whispered prayers into its glow. And though centuries divide them, the flame has made them one, joined in a circle of light that transcends time. The sacred fire is the heart of Zoroastrian faith. It is a symbol that tells of purity, of devotion, of the everlasting presence of the divine. To look upon it is to be reminded that truth can never be extinguished, that light will always return, that hope is eternal. As the night deepens, the flame continues to burn. The priests move quietly, adding fresh wood, whispering prayers, tending with love. The air grows warmer, softer, filled with a glow that seems to touch every corner of the temple. The shadows rest against the walls, subdued, gentle, calm. The eternal flame is not only a story of the past. It is a story of now and of tomorrow, for wherever there is truth, wherever there is kindness, wherever there is light, the flame of Ahura Mazda still burns. It is not bound to stone walls or desert sands. It travels with the soul, glowing in silence, waiting to be remembered. Let your breathing slow as you watch the flame. It flickers, it dances, it glows, always calm, always steady. Each spark is a blessing. Each glow is a promise. Each breath you take carries a reflection of its warmth. Now rest in the glow of that eternal fire. Let it surround you with comfort. Let it carry you into peace. Let it remind you that even in the darkest night, there is always light to guide the way. The stars move quietly overhead. The temple stands in silence. The eternal flame continues to glow. Drift onward as the light of Ahura Mazda warms your soul. The first light of morning brushes against the desert. A pale glow spreads slowly across the horizon, softening the edges of mountains, touching the sand with threads of gold. The world stirs in silence, as though the earth itself is breathing in the new day. In this hush of dawn, something greater begins to awaken. An empire, still young, still forming, yet already carrying the weight of destiny. You drift through this moment, where the sky opens wide. The cool air smells of stone and soil, mixed with the faint sweetness of morning blossoms clinging to hidden valleys. Birds rise from their nests, their wings moving gently in the air, like prayers carried upward. The land is vast, unbroken, waiting to be gathered into harmony. In the heart of this land, a leader rises. Cyrus, who will be called the Great, steps into the story of the world. He does not come as a conqueror with only the sword, but as a dreamer, a unifier, a protector of many voices. His footsteps echo on the soil of Persia, yet his vision stretches far beyond deserts and mountains. The early kingdom is simple, still small. Villages scatter across the plains. Shepherds guide their flocks along winding rivers. Farmers bend over the earth, planting seeds that shimmer with hope. Above them, Cyrus looks not with hunger for power, but with the eyes of one who sees the possibility of unity, of peace made strong by diversity. The winds of the desert carry whispers of his vision. To him, people are not divided by the gods they worship or the language they speak. To him, every village, every tribe, every people holds value, holds a place in the greater circle of life. This belief becomes the heart of what will one day be called an empire, not built on destruction, but on respect. The sun climbs higher, filling the sky with light. Cyrus gathers allies not only through battles won, but through kindness shown. He listens to the elders of different lands. He honors their traditions. He protects the sacred places of every faith. And so, many choose to follow him, not from fear, but from trust. His strength is not only in armies, but in compassion. Imagine walking beside him on a quiet road. The air hums with the sounds of distant markets, where traders bring spices, cloth, and stories from far-off lands. Children laugh near the wells. The scent of bread rises from clay ovens. Life flows in gentle rhythm, and Cyrus smiles, knowing that an empire is not only banners and soldiers. It is people living, breathing, dreaming together under one sky. The dawn of Persia glows like a lantern in the dark. Other kingdoms around it rise and fall, caught in the tides of war. Yet Persia begins to stretch its arms wide, welcoming many lands into its embrace. From the banks of the Tigris to the valleys of the Indus, voices join together, woven into a greater whole. The mountains stand watch as this vision grows. Their shadows cool the valleys, their peaks shine beneath snow, their silence holds the story of change. The rivers flow like silver threads, binding distant lands together. Through them, messages travel, goods are shared, cultures meet. The empire is born not only in stone and law, but in connection, like streams feeding one great ocean. Cyrus carries with him the quiet guidance of Zoroastrian faith. He has heard the teachings of light against darkness, of truth against falsehood, of purity guiding the soul. These teachings whisper in his choices, reminding him to lead with justice, to guard the weak, to honor truth. His empire will reflect this. More than power, it will be a sanctuary for many peoples. The desert nights are long, but the fire always glows. In temples and in hearts, the sacred flame of Ahura Mazda burns steady, like the soul of Persia itself. Cyrus looks to that flame as a reminder. Just as the fire gives light to all without choosing, so must a leader give justice and protection to all under his care. Now imagine the early cities rising. Streets lined with clay houses, courtyards filled with laughter, temples standing with open doors. At the center, markets bloom with color, red pomegranates, golden fabrics, shining bronze. The sound of many languages blends into one soft harmony. This is the vision Cyrus carries, the gathering of difference into peace. The dawn lingers, slow and steady. The sun has not yet grown hot. The earth is still cool beneath the soles of your feet. You hear the faint rhythm of drums in the distance, not of war, but of celebration. People welcome the new day, thankful for safety, for food, for light. This is the true beginning of empire, not fear, but gratitude. Cyrus becomes known for his gentleness. When he enters new lands, he does not destroy their temples. He does not erase their faiths. Instead, he protects them, honors them, allowing each people to walk their own path beneath the sun. He becomes not only a king, but a shepherd of nations, holding together what once was scattered. The mountains watch still, quiet and solemn. They see armies march, but they also see peace made. They hear the voices of many tongues, but they also hear silence where once there was division. They hold the memory of this dawn, carrying it deep within their stone hearts. The empire that begins now will one day stretch far and wide. It will touch the Aegean Sea. It will touch the Nile. It will rise as one of the greatest in history. But in this moment, it is still gentle, still forming, still glowing like the first light of morning. The greatness to come lies quietly in the vision of one man who chose unity over division. The desert settles into midday warmth. Shadows short. The rivers shine more brightly. The people move with purpose, their lives sheltered by the dream of a just ruler. All around, the air carries a feeling of hope, soft, steady, like a promise whispered by the wind. Close your eyes and rest in this dawn. Feel the calm of a world beginning anew, carried by compassion, guided by truth. Let the glow of this empire's birth surround you, like morning light falling gently upon your skin. The day will grow brighter, the journey will continue, but for now, the dawn is enough. The flame of Persia has been lit, and it will not be extinguished. Now rest, as the stars wait patiently to return. Let us drift onward, carried by the dream of unity that began in the quiet dawn of the Persian Empire. Night drapes its gentle cloak across the world. The sea, wide and endless, lies still beneath the glow of countless stars. Their light scatters across the water, silver ripples bending with the tide. A soft wind drifts along the coast, carrying the smell of salt and olive groves, whispering through the quiet hills. Beyond this calm horizon, far to the west, the land of Greece begins to stir. You float over its shores as though in a dream. The stones are ancient, warmed by the day's sun, now cooling under moonlight. Temples rise in quiet dignity, their columns pale and tall, touched by shadows that move like drifting veils. The streets are hushed, the voices of the people resting, but the memory of their songs still lingers in the air. The Greek world is not yet one. It is scattered like pearls upon the sea, each city-state shining alone, yet bound together by language, by myth, by stories that echo through every home. Athens with her love of wisdom, Sparta with her discipline, Corinth with her trade, each a flame flickering distinct, yet all under the same stars. Listen, and you may hear the heart of their land. It beats in the rhythm of oars cutting across dark waters. It sighs in the olive branches swaying against the night. It speaks in the voices of poets who tell tales by firelight, tales of gods and heroes, of struggles and journeys, of the balance between fate and freedom. The gods of Olympus watch from their high mountain. They are imagined as powerful, yet also close to human hearts, sharing in both joy and sorrow. Zeus with his thunder, Athena with her wisdom, Apollo with his golden lyre. These gods walk in story beside mortals, their presence shaping the choices of men and women alike. In the hush of night, their myths feel like lullabies. The story of Persephone returning with the spring, the flight of Icarus rising too close to the sun, the strength of Heracles, the cleverness of Odysseus. These tales move like streams of starlight, flowing from one generation to the next, holding the people of Greece together, even as their cities stand apart. The sea cradles them all. It is their pathway, their bond, their endless horizon. Ships drift across the dark waters, sails filled by gentle winds. From shore to shore, the Greeks trade not only goods but ideas, shapes of thought, sparks of philosophy, songs of beauty. In the hush of night, the sea glimmers as though it remembers every voyage, every voice. The people of Greece look inward, toward their own struggles and dreams. They do not yet know of the vast empire growing beyond the eastern sands. They do not yet feel the shadow of Persia, whose dawn glows brighter each day. For now, they live within their own circle of myths and politics, unaware of the tide that slowly rises beyond their horizon. Picture Athens beneath the stars. The Acropolis rises, though still young, its stones lit by torches that flicker against the night. In quiet courtyards, philosophers begin to wonder aloud, their words simple, like seeds scattered in the soil. They ask about justice, about the soul, about the nature of the world. These seeds will one day grow tall, but now they rest, carried on the breath of the night. Further south, Sparta sleeps in silence. Its warriors rest with discipline, their lives shaped by order and training. Yet even here under the stars, mothers tell their children stories of courage, of endurance, of loyalty to their land. The strength of Sparta is not only in its warriors, but in its spirit, as steady as stone, as patient as the earth. The Greek cities are like constellations. Each shines alone, yet when seen together they form patterns, stories, connections. They are tied by the thread of myth, by the echo of language, by the shimmer of sea that touches them all. Together, they hold a beauty that is fragile, yet enduring. The night deepens. Candles flicker within stone homes, their light soft against walls etched with age. Families rest, children dream, elders whisper prayers to unseen gods. Outside, the air grows cooler, carrying the fragrance of vines and earth. Above, the heavens wheel slowly, stars crossing paths with patience eternal. Somewhere, a poet plucks the strings of a lyre. The sound drifts like water, soft, golden, tender. It tells of love, of longing, of the journey of the soul. It tells of heroes and gods, but also of the quiet heart of human life, friendship, loss, hope. The notes rise gently, then fade, blending with the silence of night. These shadows of Greece stretch across the sea. They are not dark with fear, but soft with mystery. They hint at the coming future when East and West will meet, when empires will clash, when ideas will cross the waters. But for now, the Greeks rest in their own dawn, unknowing, unworried, embraced by the sea, embraced by myth. The mountains of Greece stand watch. Their slopes cradle villages where shepherds dream, their peaks crowned with snow that glows in moonlight. Rivers run down their sides, feeding valleys where vines and olives grow. The land itself seems alive, whispering stories, carrying the memory of every generation. As you drift here, you feel the calm of this ancient land. You feel the quiet rhythm of its people, the harmony of sea and stone, the deep breath of a world at rest. Greece is not yet the Greece of history's battles. It is a Greece of shadows, of beginnings, of myths told under starlight. The horizon softens with the first touch of dawn. The stars fade, one by one, giving way to a pale glow that brushes the mountains and warms the sea. The people begin to stir again, not knowing how history will carry them, not knowing what tides approach. But for now, the morning is gentle. The olive trees glisten with dew. The waves roll calmly upon the shore. Let the memory of this night stay with you. The sea, the stars, the voices of gods and poets, the quiet strength of cities still unaware of the vast empire beyond. the softness of myth woven into every life. Now rest as the shadows of Greece drift into dawn. Let us drift onward, carried by the tides of time, as the stars prepare to return once more. Night lingers gently over the Persian plain. The stars drift like quiet lanterns, scattered across the sky. The desert wind moves softly, carrying the faint scent of dust and myrrh, brushing against the walls of palaces and temples that rise from the earth like ancient dreams. In the heart of this stillness, a fire glows. It burns not wildly, but with calm steadiness. Its flames stretch upward, golden and pure, never touched by smoke or ash. Around this fire, priests keep watch, their robes whispering as they move. To the people of Persia, this flame is no ordinary light. It is the symbol of truth. It is the breath of Ahura Mazda, the wise Lord, the source of all that is good. In the glow of the sacred fire, kings of Persia learned to rule. They were not only warriors or rulers of land. They were guardians of a balance, keepers of truth, seekers of justice, protectors of harmony between light and shadow. Each decision they made, each word they spoke, was weighed against the eternal flame. The teachings of Zoroaster drift like soft music through these halls. They speak of two paths, two choices. One is the path of light, of order, of truth. The other is the path of shadow, of lies, of destruction. To choose the path of light is to walk with Ahura Mazda. To choose the shadow is to fall into darkness. The kings listened, their hearts quiet, their minds shaped by these words. Cyrus, who dreamed of unity, held this fire in his vision. When he led his people, he carried not only the sword but also the flame. His conquests were not only for power, but for a vision of harmony where many peoples could live under the shelter of one empire, each with their own traditions, yet bound by respect. In the soft silence of the temple, he bowed before the flame, and his spirit rested in its glow. Darius, who ruled after him, stood often before this same light. He raised his hands in prayer, asking for strength not only in war but in justice. On the walls of stone carved with his likeness, he is shown lifting his eyes to the heavens. His words echo the teachings. To lie is to betray the world. To speak truth is to keep it alive. The flame reminded him that the sword was not only for conquest, but for protection, to defend the order of the world. In the stillness of night, imagine the great halls of Persepolis. Tall columns rise like a forest of stone, their tops carved with images of bulls and lions. Fires burn in braziers, their glow casting soft light upon walls etched with stories of kings and peoples. The air carries the quiet sound of distant drums, steady as a heartbeat. Here, fire and sword live side by side, symbols of power, yet also of duty. The sword gleams under torchlight. It is sharp, cold, a tool of war. Yet in the hands of a king shaped by Zoroastrian teaching, it is more than a weapon. It becomes a symbol of order, cutting through the chaos of falsehood, protecting the people from harm. The sword defends the flame, and the flame guides the sword. Together, they form the spirit of Persia. In this land, justice was not only law, but a way of being. To oppress the weak, to spread lies, to harm without cause. These were seen as shadows, as wounds upon the world. To protect the poor, to honor promises, to keep words clean and clear. These were the ways of light. The kings, taught by priests, carried these truths into their palaces, into their armies, into the very soil of their empire. Think of a soldier on the far edge of Persia's reach. He stands guard at the border, the desert stretching endlessly around him. In his heart, he knows he serves not only a king, but a greater order. When he lifts his sword, he feels the flame behind it, guiding him, reminding him that his strength is tied to something eternal. Think of a judge in a quiet village. When disputes arise, she listens with patience. She remembers the teachings of truth, the path of light. Her judgment is not only about who is right or wrong, but about keeping harmony, about choosing what will heal rather than break. In her silence, the fire of Ahura Mazda burns, though no flame is lit before her eyes. The people of Persia carried these teachings in their hearts. Farmers planting seeds beneath the hot sun whispered prayers for truth to grow in their soil. Merchants traveling the Silk Road prayed that their dealings would remain honest, that their words would be as steady as the flame. Mothers told their children stories of the eternal struggle between light and shadow, teaching them to walk gently, to keep their words clean, to honor the unseen fire. Even in times of war, the fire was never forgotten. When armies marched, they carried torches lit from sacred flames, reminders that their cause was not only for conquest, but for the protection of order. The soldiers felt the weight of this fire in their hearts, knowing it was a living symbol, guiding their steps even across lands far from home. The empire grew vast, stretching across mountains, deserts, and seas. Many voices spoke within its borders. Many gods were honored by different peoples. Yet in the heart of Persia, the fire continued to burn, steady, unwavering, pure. It bound the kings to their duty. It bound the people to their truth. It whispered of the eternal struggle, of the gentle call to walk in light. The night deepens. The halls of Persepolis grow quiet. The torches flicker softly, their flames bending in the calm air. The swords of soldiers rest in their sheaths, polished but still. In the temples, the sacred fire glows, casting a golden circle of peace around it. The priests move slowly, tending it with care, as though tending to the soul of the world. You drift closer to this flame. It is warm but not burning. It glows but does not blind. Its light feels like a breath, like a calm heartbeat, like the steady pulse of time itself. As you rest near it, you feel its whisper, soft, endless, tender. It tells of truth. It tells of justice. It tells of a path that leads through shadows, always toward light. In this quiet moment, the spirit of Persia rests. The sword lies ready yet peaceful. The flame burns steady, never dimming. Together, they tell the story of kings who sought not only to rule, but to protect. They remind us that power without truth is empty, but power with truth is eternal. Now the stars begin to fade above the desert. Dawn approaches, soft and pale, painting the sky in gentle hues of gold and rose. The flame glows brighter against the light of morning, steady as ever. The swords remain at rest, awaiting the call of duty. The world takes a deep breath, balanced between night and day, shadow and light. Let us drift onward, carried by the warmth of the flame and the stillness of the sword. Now rest, as the stars return to their hidden places, and the fire of truth continues to glow within the silence of your heart. The night is still. A silver moon rests over the desert, its pale glow falling upon sand and stone. From afar, the land seems endless, a sea of earth stretching into horizons unseen. But here, beneath the watch of stars, a great empire breathes. The walls of Persepolis stand tall, silent as guardians. Torches flicker gently, their flames bending with the breeze. And in the heart of it all, a man stands, a king, a dreamer, a keeper of the flame. His name is Darius. He is not restless. He is calm, as though the vastness of his empire mirrors the stillness of his spirit. When he steps forward, the sound of his sandals upon stone echoes like a heartbeat through empty halls. His eyes fall upon the sacred fire, steady and unyielding. He bows his head, and in the warmth of that golden light, he feels the breath of Ahura Mazda, guiding him, shaping him, reminding him that every path begins with truth. The fire glows. Its flames reach upward, delicate yet eternal. For Darius, it is not only a symbol, it is a compass. It points toward justice. It whispers of order. It hums with the music of creation itself. Every law he writes, every stone he sets, every road he builds. All of them must honor this flame, must guard the balance of light against the encroaching dark. His march begins not with armies, but with vision. He looks out upon the land entrusted to him, stretching from the valleys of Mesopotamia to the mountains of Anatolia, from the sands of Egypt to the rivers of India, a land vast and diverse, where many tongues are spoken, where many gods are honored, where countless people walk beneath the same sky. Darius dreams not only of rule, but of harmony. 1,000 paths, yet one order. 1,000 voices, yet one flame. In the stillness of dawn, he walks among his people. The farmer tending barley, the merchant guiding his caravan, the craftsman shaping stone into form. All of them live within the shelter of his empire. Darius listens. He hears their hopes and their fears, and he carries their voices into his palaces, where scribes etch his thoughts into clay and stone. On cliffsides, words are carved deep, etched into the earth so they may never fade. These inscriptions tell of truth and falsehood, of light and shadow, of a king who holds lies as poison and honesty as breath. The words are not only for Persians, they are for all who pass through these lands, for all who bend their heads before the flame, for all who seek to walk in balance. But the march of Darius is not only spiritual, it is also woven with roads of stone and dust. Great highways stretch across his empire, like veins of order carrying life to every corner. Messengers ride swift horses, carrying news across mountains and rivers with the speed of the wind. Markets blossom along these paths, where spices, silks, and stories flow like rivers between distant lands. And in every corner, the name of Darius whispers like a prayer, a reminder that one flame holds the empire together. Still, the sword lies close at hand, for no empire rests untouched by struggle. There are rebellions that rise like storms, foreign powers that test the borders, and whispers of unrest carried by the desert wind. But when Darius lifts the sword, he does so with the flame in his heart. The sword defends truth, it does not destroy it. The sword protects the weak, it does not betray them. And so his march continues, not in cruelty, but in balance, not in conquest alone, but in the steady rhythm of order. In the hush of twilight, imagine the royal court of Susa. Columns rise high, their tops carved with winged creatures, their shadows stretching across tiled floors. Servants move quietly, bearing trays of fruit and bowls of water fragrant with herbs. Priests chant softly, their voices weaving with the hum of the night. And in the midst of it, Darius listens. To generals, to counselors, to travelers who bring news from the edges of the earth. He listens with patience, with gravity, with the weight of fire resting on his spirit. He dreams of eternity, not only for himself, but for the order he creates. His laws are written not as passing words, but as roots sunk deep into the soil of time. He believes that truth, once planted, will grow beyond kings, beyond battles, beyond empires. He believes that justice is not bound by years, but flows onward like a river, carving its way gently, endlessly, through the valleys of history. The march of Darius is quiet tonight. There are no drums, no horns, no shouts of armies. There is only the sound of wind moving through the reeds, the crackle of fire in the brazier, the faint rhythm of footsteps echoing through stone halls. It is in this silence that his empire breathes. It is in this calm that the eternal flame continues to glow. And you, drifting here beside him, feel the warmth of that flame upon your face. It is steady like a heartbeat. It is gentle like the hush of sleep. It reminds you that truth is always near, that balance always waits, that light is never far from shadow. The stars shift slowly above Persepolis. They watch as the king dreams of unity. They watch as the empire grows vast, woven together not only by roads and laws, but by the unseen thread of the sacred flame. The march of Darius continues, across deserts, across mountains, across seas of time. Yet here in this moment all is still. All is safe. All is held in the soft hands of night. Let the fire burn steady in your heart. Let the sword rest in its sheath, peaceful and quiet. Let the march slow into silence, until only breath remains, soft and even like the desert wind. Now, as the moon drifts westward, and the first hues of dawn touch the horizon, rest with the flame of Darius. Rest with the stillness of the empire. Rest as the stars return to their hidden places. Let us drift onward, into gentler dreams, into softer realms, where light is eternal, and peace flows without end. The night is calm. The Aegean Sea stretches wide, its dark waters shimmering beneath the gentle touch of starlight. Waves move slowly, folding upon themselves like soft blankets. The air is warm with the scent of salt, carrying the whispers of distant shores. Along the coast of Ionia, where Greek cities rest upon the edge of Persia's vast empire, a quiet stirring begins. Not a storm, not a roar, but a murmur. A sound like reeds bending in the wind. A sound that grows slowly, patiently, into something greater. The cities of Ionia are small yet proud. Their streets are narrow, their houses clustered close, their temples crowned with white stone. By day, children run along markets where figs, olives, and bright fabrics are traded. By night, the people gather by lamps of oil, telling stories of heroes and gods. They live under Persian rule, yet their hearts remember old freedoms. Like a song remembered, even after silence has fallen. It is here, in the stillness of night, that the first murmurs of change begin to stir. The wind carries voices. They are hushed, secretive, careful. They speak of burdens, of tribute paid to distant kings, of decisions made far away. The people of Ionia look across the waters to their kin in the Greek mainland, and in their hearts a quiet longing grows, to guide their own steps, to hold their own flame, to choose their own path beneath the stars. But the Persians are strong. Their empire stretches farther than the eye can imagine, across mountains, deserts, and rivers that seem endless. Behind their power stands the king, and behind the king burns the eternal fire, the flame that guides their vision of truth and order. To resist such might feels like standing against the tide of the sea itself. Yet still the murmur grows, for even the smallest wave can begin to reshape a shore. In the still hours before dawn, priests tend to shrines along the Ionian coast. They light small flames in clay lamps, their glow dancing across carved stone. The prayers are soft, barely louder than the hum of the sea. But among the prayers for harvest, health, and safe journeys, another wish takes form. It is unspoken, yet it lingers. A wish for freedom. A wish for the return of self-rule. A wish carried by the very winds that stir the waters of the Aegean. The Persian satraps, the governors who watch over these lands, sense the unease. They walk through marketplaces, their robes heavy, their eyes sharp. They listen to laughter and song, but they know that beneath the surface, the song is changing. It is no longer only of feasts and festivals. It carries another note, a hidden rhythm, like a heartbeat quickening with secret resolve. The spark begins small, a meeting in a shadowed room, a message carried across the waves, a promise whispered among trusted friends. One voice becomes two become 10, and soon the murmur is no longer just a whisper. It is a current, a hidden stream moving through the city, growing stronger with each passing day. The sea becomes the silent witness. Its waves lap against harbors where ships rest, their sails furled, their oars still. But within those ships lies possibility, the power to carry men, to carry ideas, to carry rebellion itself. The harbors are calm, but the calm is only the surface. Beneath the waters churn. Beneath the tide begins to turn. Darius the Great King feels the stirrings from afar. In the golden halls of Persepolis, where firelight glimmers against polished stone, he listens as messengers bring word of unrest in Ionia. His gaze is steady, his heart unwavering. He knows that empires, like great rivers, are strongest when their channels remain unbroken. And so his thoughts turn toward the murmurs, toward the distant shores where whispers are becoming waves. Yet for now, the night holds its peace. The stars shine above both Persian and Ionian alike. The same constellations guide their eyes. The same moon softens their dreams, though the path ahead carries conflict. In this quiet hour, it is only the gentle beginning. A small flame that has not yet become fire. The revolt is still a breath, still a shadow, still a murmur beneath the hum of the sea. As you drift with the story, imagine the Ionian coast bathed in moonlight. The waves kiss the shore with soft rhythm. The air carries both calm and longing. The people rest in their homes, yet in their dreams freedom stirs. The gods of Greece watch from their high mountains. The spirits of Persia guard from their sacred fire. And between them lies a fragile balance, a moment poised upon the edge of change. But tonight no battles rage, no swords clash, no fires rise. There is only the sound of the sea, the flicker of lamp flames, and the soft murmur of voices carried by the wind. The rebellion is only a seed. It has not yet broken the earth, but within it the promise of change sleeps, waiting for the dawn. Now let the murmurs fade into silence. Let the sea return to its calm rhythm. Let the stars above guide your rest, gentle and eternal, for tomorrow carries its own weight. But tonight only peace remains. Drift with the waves, rest with the whispers, and as the night deepens, let the murmurs of Ionia become nothing more than dreams, soft and distant, carried away on the breath of the sea. Let us drift onward, into the next chapter of time, into the unfolding tide of history, into the gentle embrace of sleep. The night stretches wide above the waters. The sea lies calm, dark, and endless, its slow waves rolling like the breath of the earth itself. Stars glimmer in silence, guiding eyes that look upward. As ships rest in harbors along the Persian coast, wooden hulls creak softly, ropes sway, and sails wait folded, as though holding their breath for what the dawn will bring. It is the age when Persia stands vast and mighty, its lands reaching across mountains and deserts, its flame of faith burning bright in every city. Now the gaze of the great king turns westward, toward the lands across the Aegean, where small cities rise against the empire's order. The sea lies between them, a ribbon of mystery, a passage both feared and revered. And so begins the crossing, a moment when two worlds draw nearer, when the calm surface of the sea carries the footsteps of empires. The morning comes soft, a pale light brushes the horizon. The waters turn silver, glistening like hammered metal. Shadows of ships stretch long upon the tide. The Persians step onto their vessels, their sandals thudding gently on wooden planks. They carry banners dyed with deep colors, cloth that ripples like fire in the wind. Each banner bears symbols of kingship, signs of strength, and prayers to the holy fire. To them, the voyage is not only war, but a journey of spirit, a march guided by the eternal flame of their faith. The oars dip slowly into the sea. Wood presses against water, pulling the ships forward with rhythm. like a great heartbeat spreading across the waves. One oar rises, another falls. The sound is steady, a drumbeat of wood and water. Above them, gulls circle and cry softly, their wings white against the morning sky. The ships stretch outward, so many that the sea seems to wear a necklace of wood and sail. The Persians gaze across the horizon. Some are soldiers, their armor polished, their swords bound in leather. Others are servants, messengers and priests. Among them, flame bearers tend to small fires, carried carefully within clay vessels, so that the sacred flame of Ahura Mazda travels with them. This fire is their compass, their spirit, their symbol of truth. As the sea carries them westward, the flame flickers, yet never dies. The waves roll gently. The ships rise and fall, their motion like a cradle. Men close their eyes to the rocking, their minds drifting to thoughts of home. They remember gardens of Persepolis, fountains that sparkle in sunlight, fields of wheat that bow in the wind. They remember children playing, wives weaving, parents offering blessings. Though their bodies sail into the unknown, their hearts carry the warmth of their homeland. As day unfolds, the sun climbs higher. Its light strikes the sea, turning the waters into a field of fire. The sails catch wind, billowing like white clouds against the blue sky. From afar, the fleet appears endless, a moving city upon the waves. Every ship has its place, every man his duty, every heart bound by the will of the great king. Yet even in this vastness, the sea whispers its own song. It speaks of depth and mystery. It hums with the voices of forgotten gods, those who dwell in tides and storms. The Persians hear these whispers, and some bow their heads in prayer. For though their empire stretches across the earth, the sea belongs to no one. It is older than empires, wiser than kings, gentler than dreams. Night approaches once more. The sky deepens, and the sea reflects its quiet darkness. Stars awaken, each one a guiding lamp for the sailors below. Fires are lit upon the decks, small flames flickering in bronze bowls. The men eat in silence, their meals simple, their minds heavy with the weight of destiny. Priests chant softly, their words blending with the hush of the waves. The banners droop in the still air, but their colors gleam in the firelight, reminders of the empire's watchful spirit. The ships drift onward through the night. The water glows faintly with moonlight, its ripples like silver threads woven into darkness. The men sleep where they can, their bodies curled against wooden beams. Some dream of victory, others dream of peace. All are carried forward, their dreams rocking gently with the tide. Beyond the horizon, Greece waits. Its shores are rugged, its cities fierce and proud. But for now, they lie in stillness, unaware of the fleet that crosses the sea. The two worlds remain apart, yet closer with every wave. As you drift with this story, imagine yourself upon the deck of a quiet ship. The wind is cool upon your face. The stars shine clear above. The sea sways beneath you, a lullaby of movement and sound. Your breath matches the rhythm of the oars, slow, steady, unbroken. You are carried, not by effort, but by the tide itself. The crossing is more than war. It is a passage of souls. It is the meeting of faith and faith, of fire and water, of east and west. Every wave is a step upon the path, every star a reminder of the infinite, every breath a bridge between worlds. And so the fleet drifts onward, toward distant shores, toward stories yet to unfold. But tonight, the sea holds them in its arms. Tonight, all is calm. Tonight, only the murmurs of water and wind remain. Now rest as the ships sail into darkness. Rest as the banners fall silent in the night air. Rest as the stars return, guiding you deeper into dream. Let us drift onward, through waters of history, through rivers of time, into the gentle embrace of sleep. The night returns, slow and gentle like a tide drawing over the shore. A quiet wind moves across the darkened hills, brushing the dry grasses until they whisper. The stars lean low, shimmering as though they too are listening. And you, resting, find yourself drifting once more into the dream of ancient days. There on the edge of time lies a plain stretched wide beneath the sky. It is called Marathon, a field near the sea, where land and water embrace in long, still curves. The earth holds the scent of olive trees and wild thyme. The waves break softly against the sand, their rhythm steady and eternal. It is here that stories gather, like flocks of birds settling for the night. The armies of Persia had come across the waters. They had crossed from Asia into the lands of Greece, carrying banners that caught the sunlight, prayers whispered in many tongues, and dreams of destiny. Now they stood upon the plain, their countless shields glimmering like fish scales beneath the dawn. Their tents rose like a small city, neat and ordered, guarded by the strength of empire. Far across the same plain, smaller in number, stood the Greeks. Their armor was worn, their cloaks simple, yet their eyes shone with fierce light. They were farmers and craftsmen, men called from their villages, gathered under the weight of necessity. Behind them lay their homes, their temples, and the children of their land. They knew they must hold their ground. But for now, in this telling, there is no clash of steel, no cry of war. There is only distance between them, like two storms waiting, each held in silence by the gods of fate. For battles are not only fought with swords. They are shaped first in the quiet, in the stillness before dawn, when hearts beat steady and prayers rise into the air. In the Persian camp, fires burn low. The soldiers rest upon woven mats, the smell of spiced bread and roasted meat lingering. Some polish their armor with slow hands, letting the light of the flames dance across bronze and gold. Others lie beneath the stars, gazing upward, speaking of home, of rivers and mountains far away. To them the sky is the same, though the soil beneath is foreign. In the Greek camp, silence holds even tighter. There are fewer fires, fewer voices. Men sit with heads bowed, tracing lines in the earth with the tips of their spears. They listen to the waves beyond the plain, as if the sea itself might speak a blessing. Some whisper to Athena, goddess of wisdom, asking for strength, asking for calm. Their shields rest beside them like patient companions, waiting for dawn. It is said that the gods themselves watched over Marathon. Some believed Ares, god of war, lingered at the edges of the plain, his presence heavy as iron. Others felt Athena's guiding hand, gentle as the wind, steadying mortal hearts. Still others thought of Hermes, swift and unseen, carrying messages between heaven and earth. Whether these were visions or hopes, no one could know. But the people felt them, as one feels a change in the air before rain. The plain itself seemed alive that night. The grass bent gently, as though bowing. The sea whispered in long sighs. The stars, ancient and patient, flickered as silent witnesses. For Marathon would become more than a place. It would become a story told across centuries, carried like a lantern through time. When dawn came, it came slowly, with soft light spilling over the horizon. The sky blushed pale gold. The Persians stirred, their camp alive with movement, shields lifted, spears raised. The Greeks, fewer by many thousands, stepped forward, shoulder to shoulder, their lines straight and firm. The air grew heavy, like a held breath. Soon the plain would echo with the thunder of feet. But in this gentle telling, we will not hear the clash. We will only hear it as one hears thunder from far away, rolling over hills, never sharp, never near. The sound of battle is softened here, turned into the low hum of fate. The noise of shouting becomes the murmur of waves. The strike of iron becomes the beat of distant drums. And so the field of Marathon becomes less a place of fear and more a place of destiny. It is said that the Greeks charged, not waiting, not holding back. With hearts steady, they ran across the plain, shields lifted, voices strong. Their feet pounded the earth in rhythm, as if the ground itself pushed them forward. The Persians, vast in number, opened their lines wide to meet them. The clash, when it came, was like two storms colliding, each wave meeting another in endless spray. But again, let it be heard only faintly, like a memory softened by time. What remains clearer than sound is the image. Shields pressed together, spears glinting, men standing close, bound not by wealth or empire, but by devotion to their land. They were few, yet their courage was heavy as stone. As the day stretched on, the sun climbing higher, the battle swayed. The Persians, strong and countless, pressed hard. Yet the Greeks held fast, their line bending but not breaking. Step by step, the plain was written with struggle. Each breath, each heartbeat, became part of the story. And in the midst of that story, courage was born like flame. It was not the courage of kings or conquerors. It was the courage of simple men who stood side by side, knowing the ground beneath them must not be lost. Such courage is not loud but steady. It moves like water carving stone. It is gentle in its beginnings, yet lasting in its strength. The Persians, though mighty, began to falter. The plain, wide and flat, favored those who stood close, shield to shield. The Greeks pressed forward, their hearts lifted by something greater than fear. Slowly the tide turned. The vast host of Persia began to fall back toward the sea. Their ships, waiting like dark wings upon the water, gathered them once more. And so the plain of Marathon grew quiet again. The thunder faded. The waves returned to their rhythm. The grass, bent by many footsteps, stood tall once more in the evening breeze. It is said that when the battle ended, a messenger was sent. He ran from Marathon to Athens, carrying the news of victory. He ran with breath burning, with legs trembling, yet with spirit unbroken. When he arrived, he spoke only the words of triumph, then laid down his life. From his journey came the tale of endurance, the birth of the marathon race that carries his memory across the world. Yet for us, lying in quiet reflection, his run is more than a tale of distance. It is a symbol of carrying hope, even when the body is weary. It is the flame that burns bright, even when the night grows heavy. It is the voice that says, the spirit can endure beyond the limits of flesh. Marathon became not just a battle, but a story of fate. It told of how courage can rise like dawn, small yet steady, until it fills the sky. It showed that even when the world seems vast and overwhelming, the heart can hold a strength equal to empires. It whispered that the gods may guide, but it is mortal hands, mortal choices that shape the earth. The plain remains, silent under the stars. The olive trees grow, their branches lifted in quiet prayer. The waves continue, endless and soothing. And above, the constellations still remember, watching with ancient eyes. Now the story softens once more. The sound of footsteps fades into the distance. The plain of Marathon drifts into shadow, wrapped again in silence. The soldiers return to dust, the banners fold into memory, the voices rest in the arms of time. What remains is peace. What remains is the lesson of courage, gentle as a lullaby. That courage is not always loud. Sometimes it is as quiet as a steady breath, as simple as standing firm, as soft as a prayer whispered to the stars. So as the night deepens, let the story settle within you. Let the plain of Marathon become a field in your dreams. Wide calm touched by sea and sky. A place where distant thunder fades, where courage lingers like a warm ember. The stars return, flickering softly, drawing you toward rest. The waves roll steady, carrying you into calm waters. And the voices of the ancients drift away, leaving only silence. Now rest, as the plain of Marathon sinks back into stillness. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the story carries you gently into sleep. The night opens once more, calm as still water. Above, the stars glow faintly, their light scattered like seeds across the endless sky. The air is cool, touched by the scent of earth and sea. And the world feels suspended, caught in the pause between one breath and the next. This is the quiet after Marathon. The echo of distant thunder has faded. The plain lies silent again, its grasses swaying softly in the evening breeze. What was heavy with footsteps is now empty, save for the memory of men and their courage. The land itself seems to rest, as though even the soil must recover from the weight of fate. Across Greece, temples rise upon hillsides, their white columns catching the glow of moonlight. Priests tend sacred fires that have never been allowed to fade. These flames, eternal and steady, remind the people that the gods still watch, even when wars pass like storms. The fire burns in Athens, golden and unwavering. It burns in Delphi, where the oracle's breath still carries the voice of mystery. It burns in small villages where humble altars stand, simple stones blessed by prayer. Through all, the fire is the same. It is not shaken by battle. It is not dimmed by fear. It endures, quiet as the stars. And so, while men sharpen their spears and mend their shields, the fire flickers on, untouched by struggle. It belongs to no empire and to every soul. It whispers of what is eternal, what cannot be broken. In Persia, too, silence spreads after the clash. The great empire breathes and gathers itself, like a giant resting in shadow. Along the royal roads, messengers ride beneath the stars, carrying news from coast to capital. Palaces of stone and gardens of green stand serene, their fountains whispering in the night. Here, too, sacred fires burn, tended by guardians who never let them fall. The flame in both lands becomes a bridge between worlds, a symbol of endurance beyond rivalry. Though Greece and Persia stand apart, though their banners differ and their languages sing in different tones, the fire they tend is the same in spirit. Both believe in light unending. Both trust that flame is more than heat, more than glow. It is presence. It is breath. It is memory of the divine. The quiet between storms is not empty. It is full of waiting, of gathering, of unseen movement. Like the ocean when the tide pauses before turning, this stillness holds weight. It is here that prayers rise higher, that hopes grow stronger. It is here that both sides look inward, to seek what must endure when thunder returns. For storms always return. Empires stir. Kings dream. But the silence between is sacred, for it gives space to listen, to breathe, to remember. On the hills above Athens, young men walk among olive trees. They touch the rough bark, their hands brushing over branches that have stood for centuries. They remember that Athena herself gifted the olive to the city, a sign of wisdom, of peace, of endurance. The fruit sustains, the oil burns in lamps, the wood builds homes. In every leaf lies a reminder that strength is not only in battle, but in patience, in resilience, in life that endures season after season. Far across the sea, in Persia's heartlands, gardens bloom with roses, pomegranates, and flowing water. The king walks among them, breathing in the sweetness of night air, his thoughts deep in silence. For even rulers, crowned in gold, must pause between storms. Even they must look upon fire and water and sky, and remember that life is larger than conquest. The sacred fire becomes the center of this pause. Imagine it now, glowing softly in the dark. Its flames do not leap wildly. They sway slow and calm, a dance of light upon air. The fire does not speak in shouts, but in whispers. Its glow is steady, like a heartbeat. Those who watch it feel their own breath begin to follow its rhythm. In and out, calm and calm again. The fire tells no side of battle. It does not remember victory or defeat. It remembers only presence. It remembers eternity. It reminds all who see it that human storms are brief, while divine flame endures. In Greece, the elders sit in circles beneath starlight. They tell stories to the young, not of fear but of meaning. They speak of how the gods weave destiny through time, of how courage is a thread in the great tapestry. The children listen, their eyes wide, their small hands warmed by the glow of lamps. The night settles gently around them, a cloak of quiet safety. In Persia, elders too speak by the fire. They tell of Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Light, who guides the world through truth and order. They tell of the eternal struggle between shadow and flame, and how keeping the sacred fire alive is keeping hope alive. The children listen, lulled by the rhythm of voices, by the warmth of glowing embers. Though miles apart, these scenes mirror one another. In Greece, in Persia, in all lands stories by fire, hearts finding calm in the quiet between storms. Let us drift further into this stillness. See the temples, the gardens, the homes. See the sea, wide and glimmering under the moon. Hear the hush of waves, the rustle of leaves, the sigh of night winds. Every sound is softened, every motion slow. The world does not rush. The world breathes. This is what the quiet teaches. That after thunder, calm always comes. That no storm lasts forever. That the fire remains. The stars above trace their slow paths, ancient and patient. Some see in them the shapes of heroes. Others see gods. But all feel their silence, their calm presence. The stars do not hurry. They do not waver. They shine as they always have, as they always will. And so, the sacred fire below mirrors the stars above. Both shine without end. Both comfort the weary. Both remind mortals that they are part of something vast and eternal. As days pass, both Greece and Persia prepare quietly. Spears are mended. Ships are built. But behind the noise of labor, there is stillness of spirit, found in temples, in prayers, in the fire that does not fade. The gods are near, though silent. The earth is steady, though men plan. The sea waits, its waves timeless as breath. The quiet is not weakness. It is gathering. It is listening. It is the soft strength before the rise of wind. It is the calm that holds all storms within its embrace. And now, as the listener drifts deeper into rest, imagine that sacred flame. It glows softly, golden and warm. It lights the temple walls, the stones ancient and silent. It flickers upon calm faces, upon bowed heads, upon hands folded in peace. It whispers gently, not in words but in warmth. It says you are safe. It says you are part of eternity. It says rest, for the storm is far away. So let us close this chapter within that glow. Let us leave Greece and Persia in their quiet, both watching their fires, both breathing between storms. Let the sea hush, let the stars return, let the earth settle into peace. Now rest as the flames burn on. Now rest as the world pauses in stillness. Now rest in the quiet between storms. The night opens once again, wide and calm. The stars linger above the world like quiet watchers, their silver glow resting gently upon earth and sea. A breeze moves slowly through the gardens, carrying the faint scent of cedar and rose. And in the hush of twilight, a story unfolds, not rushed, not loud, but like a candle flame glowing steady in the dark. This is the time of Xerxes, son of Darius. The torch has passed from father to son, and the great empire shifts like the tide, flowing forward into new dreams. The world holds its breath as one age closes and another begins. Xerxes was born into halls of stone and firelight. He grew beneath ceilings, painted with stars and patterns of the heavens. He walked gardens where water flowed in still channels, where birds nested among pomegranates, and where the sacred fire burned always, steady as a heartbeat. From his earliest days, he was taught that the flame was more than light. It was the spirit of truth, the breath of the divine, the whisper of Ahura Mazda. Priests would raise their hands before the fire, their voices low and calm, offering words of purity and order. And the boy listened, his eyes wide, his heart still. The fire spoke without sound, and in its quiet he learned the rhythm of patience. When Darius, the great king, looked upon his son, he saw not only a child but a vessel of destiny. The empire was vast, stretching from deserts to mountains, from great rivers to endless seas. Yet even vastness yearned to grow, for kings dream as stars dream, always reaching toward horizons. Darius carried the burden of rule until his last breath, guiding with justice, strength, and reverence for the light. And when he departed, the mantle passed to Xerxes. The torches burned brighter in the halls that night, as though the flames themselves leaned forward to greet their new guardian. Xerxes stood before the sacred fire in Persepolis. Its glow brushed across his face, softening the stern lines of youth. He bowed his head, and the fire flickered as though answering his silent vow. To rule with strength, to uphold truth, to let the empire not only endure, but rise higher, farther, greater than before. He gazed into the flames, and the fire seemed to stretch westward, across the mountains, across the seas. In its light, he saw lands not yet folded into Persia's embrace. He saw Greece small in land, but vast in spirit. And in that vision, a dream of conquest began to breathe within him. Dreams in the ancient world were not always shadows of sleep. They were voices, signs, whispers from realms beyond. When Xerxes closed his eyes at night, dreams visited him like messengers. Some were gentle, cloaked in moonlight, guiding him with calm. Others carried the weight of command, urging him to move, to strike, to expand. The boy within him trembled. The king within him listened. In his dreams, fire became an ocean. It rolled in waves of light, sweeping westward. It carried ships like stars upon its surface, their sails filled with the breath of destiny. The sea itself seemed to bow to the empire, opening a path for the march of Persia. Xerxes would wake with the taste of salt upon his lips, as though the dream had left a trace of the sea. And each time he knew, the vision was not only his own desire. It was a call from beyond. Yet conquest is not born only of desire. It rises from duty, from the weaving of destiny across generations. His father had planted the seeds. Xerxes was to water them. The people looked to him as both ruler and shepherd, as guardian of fire and guardian of empire. In the temples, priests spoke softly of Asha, the eternal order, the truth that holds creation together. They reminded him that to live by the flame was to live in harmony with the divine, that every act of a king was judged not by men alone, but by the eternal balance of light and shadow. Xerxes listened, and within him, the dream of conquest did not feel like pride. It felt like a river flowing from the mountains, unstoppable, guided by gravity, drawn toward the sea. A river may cut through valleys, may wear down stone, but it flows because it must. In the quiet of the palace gardens, Xerxes often walked alone. The fountains murmured. The night birds sang in soft tones. The stars, vast and eternal, stretched above him. And always, his thoughts returned to the same horizon, to the west, to the lands across the sea, to the small yet unyielding cities of Greece. He did not see them as enemies, not at first. He saw them as pieces of the world waiting to be woven into the tapestry of Persia. He saw them as threads that had not yet joined the pattern. And in his heart, the dream of conquest became not destruction, but unification. The dream of weaving all under heaven into a single cloth, warmed by the same flame. But even kings must rest between storms. The empire breathed in silence after Marathon, healing its spirit. And in that silence, Xerxes prepared. He called for ships to be built, thousands of them, carved of cedar, bound with ropes of hemp, their sails woven strong. He called for armies to be gathered, men from mountains, from plains, from deserts, each bringing the spirit of their homeland. He called for bridges to be imagined across the waters, so that land might meet sea in unity. And yet, even in the midst of planning, he returned often to the sacred fire. He knelt before it. He whispered nothing, but his silence was its own prayer. The fire flickered gently, its warmth steady, its light unjudging. It reminded him that empires rise and fall, but truth is eternal. That king's dream but flame endures. The people, too, felt the stirring of destiny. In villages across Persia, children listened to their elders speak of the coming march. But their voices were not sharp with fear. They were soft, like the tone of a lullaby. For to them, Persia was not a storm. It was a vast sky, and they were stars within it. They believed that as long as the sacred fire burned, their place in that sky was safe. In Greece, whispers spread across the sea. Men spoke of Persia's gathering power, of the dream in Xerxes' heart. Some voices trembled. Some voices rose with resolve. But across both lands the same sky spread, the same stars glimmered, the same night wrapped them in silence. Xerxes' dream was vast, but in the quiet of night he was still only a man, a son, a seeker, a vessel of visions. He watched the fire. He touched the earth. He breathed the same air as his people. And though history would remember him for conquest, in these quiet moments he was remembered by the fire itself, which saw not ambition, but a soul longing to bring order to the world. Let us linger in this stillness now. The storm has not yet come. The armies wait in silence. The ships rest upon the shore. The stars above shimmer softly, their light falling equally upon Greece and Persia. The sacred fire burns, its glow the same in every land. Breathe with it now. See its gentle flame swaying in rhythm. In and out. Calm and calm again. The dream of conquest waits, but tonight the dream is soft, like embers glowing in the dark. So let us close this chapter in quiet reverence. Xerxes stands before the fire, his face bathed in golden light. The flame whispers to him of destiny, of rivers that must flow, of seas that must be crossed. But for now, it whispers also of peace, of patience, of waiting in stillness. Let us drift onward, past the firelight, past the gardens, past the stars. Let us rest in the calm of night, where all dreams begin. Now rest as the sacred fire burns on. Now rest as Xerxes' dream unfolds in silence. Now rest as the stars return. The night opens slowly, like a curtain of silk. Stars scatter across the sky, each one shining faintly as though breathing with you. The sea whispers against the shore, its rhythm steady, its voice unbroken. And in this quiet hour, a story unfolds, a story of a narrow path, a quiet pass between mountain and sea, where men once stood, and where sacrifice became a song whispered through the ages. Far to the west, where rocky cliffs meet restless waters, lies Thermopylae, the hot gates. It is a place of steam rising gently from the earth, of stones warmed by hidden springs. It is a narrow road, pressed between mountains and sea, where only a few may pass at once. and because it is narrow, it became more than earth and stone. It became a symbol, a gate where loyalty was tested and where shadows gave way to light. The night before the battle was calm. The Persian host stretched wide as the eye could wander, torches burning like countless stars across the plain. Their tents rustled in the sea breeze. Horses shifted their hooves in the sand. And the great army rested, each man carrying within him the dream of his king, the dream of Xerxes, the dream of fire reaching westward. Across the narrow path, the Greeks gathered. They were fewer, their fires smaller, their voices hushed. Yet in their stillness, there was no fear. There was only a kind of quiet resolve, like trees standing firm in wind. They had come knowing the weight of their choice. They had come to hold the gate, not for glory, but for the land behind them, for their homes, for their temples, for the fields where children played. The mountains stood silent witnesses. Pines swayed gently in the breeze. The sea, forever moving, brushed against the rocks with a sound like breathing. Above, the moon looked down, silver and calm, as though blessing both sides with equal light. In this hush, warriors sat side by side. Some sharpened spears, though slowly, without urgency. Some leaned back against stones, gazing at the stars. Others closed their eyes and listened to the sea. In that quiet, they were not soldiers. They were sons, brothers, fathers. They were men holding the thread of life with both hands, knowing it might slip away at dawn. Among them stood Leonidas, king of Sparta. His voice was not loud, nor was his presence heavy. He walked as though the earth itself carried him gently, as though the mountains leaned closer to hear him breathe. He did not speak of conquest. He spoke of loyalty. He spoke of standing as one body, one flame, even in the face of storm. The men listened, and in their hearts a calm fire kindled. Not the fire of rage, not the fire of pride, but the fire of devotion, a flame that would not flicker, even in the strongest wind. The Persians, vast and many, also waited. They too were men with hopes, with families, with silent prayers. Their empire was wide, their banners high. Yet in the stillness of night, they were the same as the others, souls beneath the stars, breathing beneath the moon, carrying within them the weight of tomorrow. And so the two sides lay beneath the same sky, touched by the same sea air, warmed by the same hidden springs that gave Thermopylae its name. The night wrapped them together in silence, as if reminding them that all men are children of the same earth. When morning came, the mists lifted slowly from the mountains. The sea glittered like liquid glass, and the narrow path of Thermopylae awoke. The clash that followed was not gentle, but the telling of it can be. For in truth, the noise of battle fades, while the whisper of sacrifice remains. The Greeks stood firm, their shields locked, their spears steady. Wave after wave came against them, yet they held the gate. The Persians pressed forward, countless as grains of sand, yet the narrow road allowed only a few at once. And so the battle became a rhythm, a slow tide against rock, a song of endurance. Through this rhythm, something greater than war was born. Loyalty shone like a hidden star. Sacrifice glimmered like a flame in the dark. Every step taken, every breath given became more than struggle. It became offering. It became devotion. The mountain winds carried this whisper, soft and steady. The sea waves echoed it, rolling endlessly toward distant shores. Even the stones of Thermopylae seemed to remember, holding the memory of that stand within their silent weight. In time, the battle turned. A path was found through the mountains, a way around the gate. The Greeks knew then that their end was near. But still, they did not flee. They stood as the tide closed around them, as shadows lengthened, as the day darkened. And in their standing, they became more than warriors. They became a beacon, a symbol, a story that would drift onward for ages. The Persians moved past the gate at last, the road opening before them. Their torches marched on, their banners rose again. The dream of Xerxes continued. Yet even he, in the quiet of his heart, would remember the narrow path. For he had seen not only defiance, but devotion. Not only resistance, but the light of sacrifice. The night closed again over Thermopylae. The fires burned low. The sea whispered once more against the shore. And in the silence, the memory of those who stood lingered. It was not the memory of violence, but of stillness. Not the memory of blood, but of loyalty. Like a flame that flickers softly, their story did not vanish. It lived on, glowing gently, passed from voice to voice, from heart to heart. Now as you drift, imagine that narrow path. A road between mountain and sea, warmed by hidden springs, softened by starlight. Hear the quiet waves. Feel the still mountain air. See the torches glowing faintly in the dark. Let the story become not a tale of loss, but of devotion that endures beyond time. Breathe slowly as the sea breathes. In and out. In and out. Calm as the night, calm as the flame. Let us drift onward now, past Thermopylae, past the mountains, past the restless sea. Let the memory of sacrifice rest like a gentle star above you. Let the loyalty of those who stood guide you toward sleep. Now rest as the torches fade. Now rest as the sea whispers. Now rest as the stars return. The night is soft and the stars are kind. They shimmer above the darkened waters, their light bending across the ripples like silver threads. The sea breathes quietly, rising and falling, steady as the slow rhythm of your own breath. And in this stillness, we return to a time when ships moved like shadows across the waves, and the sea itself became a stage where courage and fate touched. Salamis, an island resting close to the Athenian shore. Its cliffs rise dark and quiet, its coves curve gently into the water. On the night before battle, the air was cool and the winds calm. The sea lay wide, stretching into the horizon like a mirror for the stars. And upon its surface, fleets gathered. One vast, one small. One like an endless tide, the other like a cluster of stones firm against the waves. The Persians filled the sea with ships, their oars long, their sails furled. The creak of wood and the splash of water spread across the dark waters. Their campfires glowed faintly upon the shore, countless sparks against the earth. The dream of conquest was alive in their hearts, the voice of Xerxes calling them forward. They came not as raindrops, but as a storm. The Greeks, fewer in number, gathered near the island's shelter. Their ships were smaller, their voices hushed. Yet their hearts were steady. They knew the sea as a friend, a guide, a shield. For though the Persians carried numbers, the Greeks carried the narrow waters, the Straits of Salamis, where only a few ships could sail side by side. And in this narrowness they found strength. The night was long. Men sat upon the decks, gazing at the moon. The creak of ropes, the soft slap of waves, the murmur of quiet prayers filled the air. Some closed their eyes, resting against the curve of wooden planks. Others whispered to the gods, calling upon Poseidon, lord of the sea, or upon their own city's guardian spirits. And above them the stars listened. Xerxes watched from his throne, built high upon the shore. He looked out upon the sea with proud eyes, for the water seemed to belong to him. Yet even he could not command the tides, nor the hidden currents beneath the surface. The sea belongs to no man. It moves as it will, a servant to no king. Morning came. The sky grew pale with the blush of dawn. The first light touched the sea, and the straits shone like glass. Then came the sound faint at first, then swelling. The call of oars plunging into the deep. The chant of rowers moving as one body. The splash of water as ships turned, cutting through the strait. Persian vessels, countless and grand, moved forward like a flood. Their painted eyes glared from the bows. Their bronze rams gleamed like fire in the sun. They pressed into the narrow waters, their numbers crowding against one another, their oars striking waves with restless force. The Greek ships, smaller, slipped through the currents with quiet grace. They turned within the straits, their prows sharp, their crews steady. They did not fight the sea. They moved with it. And the sea, in turn, carried them where they needed to go. The battle began not with fire, but with silence breaking. Wood struck wood. Oars snapped. The crash of hulls echoed across the straits like distant thunder. Men shouted, though their voices soon vanished into the roar of water and the cry of timbers breaking. The Persians pushed hard, their strength pressing forward. But the narrow waters betrayed them. Their ships crowded, their oars tangled, their sails caught upon one another. The sea, endless in its vastness, had now become a narrow path. And in this path, the smaller Greek ships found their freedom. They turned swiftly, like swallows darting between reeds. They struck with precision, their bronze rams piercing wood, their crews steady at the oars. One by one, Persian ships faltered. The tide that had seemed unstoppable now stumbled, confused, broken by its own size. And then fire. Torches lit, arrows aflame, sparks carried on the wind. Flames leapt from deck to deck, glowing against the dark sea. The fire crackled, but from afar it was only a shimmer, a trembling reflection on the waves. The sea did not fear it. It carried the fire as it carries the moon, as light upon its back, soon to fade, soon to sink. To those watching from the shore, the Strait of Salamis was alive with light. Ships burned like stars fallen upon the water. Smoke curled upward, pale and soft against the sky. And beneath it all, the sea continued its slow rhythm, as though reminding both sides that all battles are brief, while the waters endure. In the midst of smoke and flame, courage flickered. Greek rowers pulled their oars with steady strength. Persian sailors leapt into the sea, the waves closing over them with gentle finality. And above it all, the cry of gulls echoed, circling as if singing the song of the waters themselves. The strait grew crowded with wreckage, broken planks, shattered oars, drifting sails. Yet even in ruin, the sea was calm. It held everything without judgment, carrying wood, fire, and man alike in its embrace. Xerxes, seated upon his throne, watched. He saw his ships falter. He saw the sea turn against his numbers. And though anger stirred in him, beneath it was the quiet truth: no king commands the tides. No throne commands the waves. The Greeks, few as they were, found victory. Not through greater strength, but through patience, through the knowing of their waters. They had trusted the narrow strait. They had trusted the sea to be their ally. And so the sea, vast and eternal, bore their hope upon its back. As night fell once more, the fires died. The smoke drifted away. The wrecks floated quietly, carried toward the horizon. The stars returned, their reflections dancing again upon the water. And the sea breathed, untroubled, unchanged. The battle passed into memory. Men slept upon the shore, their bodies weary, their minds heavy with what they had seen. But the sea remained, vast and gentle, whispering to the rocks, cradling the island of Salamis in its eternal arms. Now you drift as the sea drifts. You float upon its surface, steady, calm. The sound of the waves is soft, like breath in the night. The stars above guide you, gentle and kind. And the fire of Salamis fades into the distance, no longer fierce, but only a shimmer upon the water. Let the sea carry you onward, past the strait, past the island, past the memory of battle. Let it carry you into stillness, into rest, into sleep. Now rest as the sea rests. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as silence falls once more upon the waters. The night drapes the world in quiet velvet. The stars, countless and ancient, scatter across the sky like silver dust spilled from the hand of eternity. The sea rests now, though earlier it roared, and the waves still carry whispers of struggle upon their crests. The air is cooler, touched by the salt of the waters and the faint smoke of burned wood that drifts like incense. It is here, upon the gentle shore, that the memory of a great turning is kept. The tide has shifted. The sea, once filled with the thunder of ships and shouts, grows calm once more. The warriors who clashed upon its face now lie still, some embraced by the sands, some by the deep waters, some carried far into the horizon where the gods alone keep watch. Yet from this silence, a truth begins to rise, a truth as old as the wind, as enduring as the constellations above. The Persians, who once came with endless strength, with sails stretched wide and banners that filled the horizon, now begin their long retreat. The battle has bent away from them, and the balance of the world has turned. But in this gentle retelling, there is no sound of violence. There is only the rhythm of waves, the glow of stars, and the quiet sense of change, as natural as the moon slipping from fullness to crescent. Imagine yourself standing upon a soft, stony shore. Your feet sink slightly into the earth, cool and firm beneath you. You gaze out across the water, where the ripples glimmer under pale starlight. In your heart, there is no fear, no memory of chaos, only the awareness that the tides of life always move and always return. Every wave that rushes to the shore will fall back into the sea. Every night that deepens will one day brighten with dawn. The Greeks, their ships like shadows gliding across the waves, now rest upon the waters. They have endured, carried not only by their strength, but by the quiet voice of destiny that whispered in their sails. The Persians, who had believed themselves unstoppable, now find the sea guiding them away. Their retreat is not sudden. It is slow, like the fatting of a candle's flame when the wick burns low. The gods, unseen yet present, watch over the flow of this story, as one chapter folds into another. The tide has turned, and in the heart of this turning lies a lesson older than temples and older than kings. For the battles of men pass like storms, but the battle within the spirit, between falsehood and truth, between shadow and light, endures across ages. It is a gentle battle, fought not with iron but with silence, patience, and faith. It is the battle that every soul faces when night grows heavy, and choices press like unseen waves against the heart. You may imagine the Persian banners sinking softly into the distance, their colors fading into the mists of dawn. You may see the Greek oars resting, their blades now still, the men breathing in silence as the moonlight smooths their weary faces. Between them lies not only victory and defeat, but the deeper story of how truth, though often small and fragile, rises against even the vastest shadows. Like a single flame, it endures the wind. Like a star, it continues to shine though the night is wide. The sea itself seems to speak. Its voice is gentle now, the rhythm of its waves steady, as though it sings of release. Ships once locked in struggle drift slowly apart, carried by the same waters that once carried them to war. So it is with life. Moments of conflict fade into memory, leaving behind the quiet truth that all things move, all things change, all things rest again. Close your eyes and listen to the soft turning of the tide. It is like a great breath, drawn in and let out by the earth itself. Inhale, the tide comes forward. Exhale, the tide retreats. This is the heartbeat of the world. And just as the sea lets go of its waves, so too may the heart let go of its burdens, letting them drift back into the vast ocean of silence. The Persians retreat. The Greeks remain. But more than that, the stars remain. The moon remains. The steady rhythm of creation itself continues, untouched by the noise of men. The sky above looks down with the same patience it has always shown, the same patience it will hold for every age to come. Somewhere along the far shore, fires are lit. They glow not with fury now, but with the soft warmth of survival. Warriors gather around them, not shouting but whispering. The flames reflect in their eyes, small suns upon weary faces. They speak not of conquest, but of home, of family, of fields and temples far away. They remember for a moment that beyond war lies life, and beyond life lies spirit. The tide has turned, but deeper still, something eternal rests untouched. For truth does not depend on victory or defeat. Truth does not rise or fall with empires. Truth, like the stars, shines quietly whether men notice or not. It is steady. It is patient. It waits for all souls to turn their gaze toward it, like flowers turning toward the sun. Imagine yourself drifting now, as though upon a gentle boat. The waters sway beneath you, steady and calm. Above, the constellations wheel slowly, guiding you deeper into rest. You feel no fear of the sea, no fear of the dark. The waves are soft arms carrying you. The sky is a blanket of peace laid across your shoulders. The tide is the rocking of a cradle, soothing, eternal. In the story of Salamis, men saw the tide shift, and with it the fate of nations. Yet for you, the listener, the tide shifts within. The sea inside you grows calm. The winds that once rattled your thoughts now fall still. What remains is silence, soft and endless, a silence that is not empty but full of quiet light. The retreat of Persia fades into the distance, like a dream slipping from memory. The victory of Greece is not loud or sharp, but gentle, a light upon the horizon that simply grows. The night carries both into the folds of time, where they rest as lessons for hearts to remember. And for you this night, it is enough to know that tides turn, storms pass, and the spirit rests in truth. The sea sighs once more. The stars shimmer softly, their light bending across the waters. The fires on the shore flicker low. The voices of men fade into slumber. The world exhales and silence deepens. Let us drift onward now. The tide has turned, and the night holds you safely. The stars above return to their watch. The sea carries you gently into dreams. And the spirit rests, as it always has, between the rising and falling of every tide. The night deepens, and the sky opens wide. The stars shimmer above, steady and watchful, like quiet eyes that have never closed. A soft wind brushes across the earth, carrying the faint scent of ash and salt from distant fires now fatting. The sea rests in its cradle, rocking back and forth, as though humming a lullaby too ancient for words. Here in this stillness, the story bends away from ships and shores and turns toward something deeper, something that lingers within the spirit. For beyond battles and kings, beyond the rise and fall of empires, there are teachings that speak to every soul. They move like whispers through the ages, quiet but unbroken, like a flame protected by unseen hands. Among these teachings is the wisdom of the Persians, who carried within their faith the vision of two great forces: light and darkness, truth and falsehood, creation and decay. A dance that never ends, shaping not only the world around them, but the thoughts of every heart. Close your eyes and imagine a great fire, glowing in the stillness of night. Its flames rise, orange and gold, licking gently toward the stars. The Persians believed that such a flame was more than warmth. It was a living sign of truth, a window into the divine. For fire does not lie. It reveals. It burns away shadow. It gives light freely, without asking. To them, it was a symbol of the eternal presence of Ahura Mazda, the Lord of light and wisdom. And yet opposite this light, there was always shadow. Not simply the soft shadow that rests at dusk, but a deeper darkness, a spirit of confusion and destruction. The Persians called him Angramenu, the adversary, the one who twists what is straight, the one who whispers lies. Together, these two stood in eternal tension. Not equal, yet always present, like night and day circling one another, like the moon chasing the sun. The people who looked to the fire each dawn and dusk understood this dance. They knew that life was not simple. It was not only joy, nor only sorrow. It was both braided together. Light could be found, but only because shadow existed. Truth could be loved because lies were known. This was the heart of duality, a gentle yet enduring teaching that every soul walks between two paths and every moment carries a choice. Now breathe with the rhythm of this thought. Inhale and imagine the fire's glow entering your chest, warm and steady. Exhale and imagine the darkness drifting away, falling back into the night. The breath itself is dual. In and out. Light and shadow. Life and release. The balance moves within you, just as it moved through the teachings of old. In their sacred stories, the Persians told of a time before time, when only Ahura Mazda dwelled in infinite light. From that light came creation. The sky stretched wide, the waters flowing, the earth rising. But as the world unfolded, shadows stirred, and anger Manu sought to corrupt, to undo, to twist. So began the great struggle, not only in heaven, but within the world of men. Each choice, each action, each word became a thread in this vast weaving of light and dark. Imagine this now as a tapestry, stretched across the night sky. Threads of gold glimmer, bright as stars, woven with care. Threads of shadow run between them, like dark rivers. From afar, the design is mysterious, its meaning hidden. Yet the faithful believed that in the end, the golden light would prevail, and truth would shine across the whole. Until that time, every act mattered. Every word spoken in honesty became a golden thread. Every deed of kindness became a star. Every falsehood, every cruelty added to the shadow. And so the world was seen not only as earth and stone, but as a field of choices. Each day was a quiet battle, not of swords, not of ships, but of spirit. When a farmer chose fairness, when a child chose honesty, when a priest tended the flame with devotion, light grew stronger. When greed arose, when lies spread, when cruelty darkened the heart, shadow deepened. Life itself was sacred, because it was the stage of this eternal weaving. Think now of your own heart, resting like a small flame. It flickers gently, but does not fade. Around it lies shadow, but within it there is always light. No matter how deep the night may feel, no matter how far the stars may seem, a spark of the divine remains within. This is what the Persians carried in their faith, the belief that every soul has a role in the great unfolding of truth, that no action is too small, no whisper of kindness too faint. All are woven into the pattern. The dance of duality was not meant to bring fear. It was meant to awaken awareness, to remind hearts that each step has meaning. And in the quiet of night, when the mind drifts between dreams, this truth is gentle comfort. For even as darkness lingers, it is never final. Light always rises. The dawn always returns. The fire always glows, even if only as a hidden ember waiting to breathe again. The priests of old would guard their sacred fires with tender care. They would feed them with clean wood, never letting them die. The flames were kept pure, untouched by ash or decay. For they believed the fire was the mirror of the soul, fragile, yet enduring, a piece of heaven placed upon earth. And as the fire lived, so too did hope, so too did the promise that light would one day conquer shadow. The duality was not despair. It was the reminder that every night is followed by morning. Every winter is followed by spring. Every sorrow holds the seed of joy. And every shadow is shaped by light standing nearby. Close your eyes now and picture a wide horizon. On one side, the sun begins to rise, golden and patient. On the other, night still clings, its stars fading gently. Between them lies the edge of the world, where light and dark meet, touch and part again. That edge is where life happens. That edge is where the soul learns. And though the night may return, though the shadows may lengthen, the light will always rise again. The Persians held this faith close through centuries, through battles, through changes of empire and king. It shaped their thoughts of justice, of honor, of destiny itself. For they believed destiny was not fixed, but shaped by choices, by how one leaned toward truth or toward falsehood. This gave life a deep meaning, a weight that made even the smallest acts holy. And so, as you drift deeper into rest, think of this teaching not as burden, but as blessing. The dance of duality is not a storm to fear, but a river to float upon. Sometimes the waters are bright, sparkling in the sun. Sometimes they are shaded, hidden under clouds. But always, the river moves onward, carrying the soul toward the ocean of light that waits at the end of time. The sea outside grows calm. The stars continue their slow turning. The fire burns low but steady, its glow wrapping the night in peace. The duality of light and shadow remains, as it always has, yet within that balance lies rest. For the story is not over, but the spirit may sleep, knowing it is held within a pattern greater than itself. Let the fire's warmth surround you now. Let the night cradle you, soft and unthreatening. Let the stars keep watch above. The dance continues, but for you. The moment is gentle. The tide of thought softens, the flame of the soul glows steady, and the night becomes a song of rest. Now let us drift onward. The fire fades to embers, the shadows soften, the dawn waits patiently beyond the horizon. Rest as the stars return to their eternal watch, and as the flame of truth glows quietly within. The night drapes its velvet cloak across the world. Stars scatter like silver dust over the sky, patient and unhurried. The winds hush themselves, carrying only the faint scent of earth and distant rivers. It is in this quiet that the story softens, moving beyond battles, beyond the clash of swords and the thunder of ships. For while Greece may sing of victories, Persia continues to live, vast and enduring, glowing like a fire kept steady by careful hands. Imagine now the empire of Persia, stretching far across the lands. Mountains rise like sleeping giants. Deserts shimmer like seas of golden dust. Rivers carve their way through valleys, bending in silence toward the oceans. Villages rest, lamps flickering in the night. Cities stand proud, their walls lined with carvings of lions and kings. Beyond the war songs of foreign lands, this empire breathes, unbroken, like the long inhale of the earth itself. In the capital, where palaces of stone and cedar glow in the torchlight, the flame of faith burns bright. It is tended by priests who guard it carefully, feeding it with clean wood. The fire glows, never dying, a mirror of the eternal light that Persians believed rested above all creation. For their faith did not belong only to battle or crown, but to every moment of living. It lived in the rising of the sun, in the order of the seasons, in the bond between one heart and another. Though kings rise and fall, though wars are fought and forgotten, the rhythm of the empire continues. Farmers rise at dawn to water their fields. Merchants walk the roads, carrying spices, wool, and song. Children play in courtyards, their laughter echoing like bells. At night, families gather, breaking bread, their shadows flickering against mud-brick walls. Here lies the true heart of Persia, not in the clash of armies, but in the quiet pulse of daily life, in the countless souls who lived under its vast sky. The empire was vast, a tapestry woven with many threads. There were Persians, yes, but also Babylonians, Egyptians, Jews, Indians, and countless others. Each kept their faith, their ways, their voices. The king, known as the King of Kings, stretched his hand across them all, not to erase, but to gather. Like rivers feeding into one sea, all were part of the great whole. It was a realm where many prayers rose to the heavens, and yet above them all, the sacred fire burned as a reminder of order, of truth, of light. Pause now and picture that fire in the temple. It does not roar. It does not rage. It glows soft and steady, like a heart at peace. Around it, the walls are carved with symbols of winged guardians, protectors of order. The air smells faintly of cedar and incense. Each flame leans upward, as though reaching for the stars, as though whispering that there is always a way forward, always a path beyond the shadows. For Persia, even beyond the wars, carried the teachings of duality within its soul. The people knew that life was shaped by choice. Truth could be chosen, or lies could be embraced. Light could be tended, or darkness could spread. But the empire itself was built on the hope that truth would prevail, that the light of Ahura Mazda would guide not only kings, but shepherds, builders, and travelers alike. Picture now a road stretching far into the horizon. Stone paved, lined with way stations, guarded by soldiers. It carries riders who bear messages written on clay and leather, words that can travel faster than the wind. This was Persia's gift, the royal road threading the empire together. It was more than stone, it was a symbol of connection. A farmer in one corner of the realm could send word to a temple in another. A merchant in Babylon could learn the price of grain in Sardis. All was linked, as though the empire itself were one great body, its lifeblood flowing through roads and rivers. At night, caravans rest along this road. Camels kneel, their loads removed. Fires burn low, casting circles of light upon the sand. Men sing softly to the rhythm of their drums, the songs carrying into the night like gentle prayers. In those moments, war seems far away, and what remains is only the hum of life, the movement of people, the sharing of bread, the telling of stories under the stars. And yet beyond the hum of daily life, Persia held onto something deeper, the sense of destiny. It was not destiny in the shape of conquest alone, but destiny in the shape of faith, that one day, the struggle of light and darkness would be resolved. That every act of truth, every spark of kindness, every whisper of prayer would add weight to the side of light. The empire, for all its vastness, became a stage for this quiet faith, where each soul, no matter how small, played a part. Think now of the gardens of Persia. They were built with flowing water, carried by clever channels that turned desert into green. Fountains rose, scattering droplets like tiny jewels in the sun. Cypress trees lined the paths, tall and watchful. Roses bloomed in rows, their fragrance drifting in the warm air. These gardens were more than beauty. They were symbols of paradise, order drawn from chaos, life drawn from dust, a reflection of divine harmony upon the earth. The people would walk in these gardens, their hearts lifted by the sight of water flowing endlessly, of flowers opening their soft faces to the sky. And in those walks, they would remember that life, even when shadowed by war, could bloom again, could find its way back to beauty and peace. Beyond the wars, Persia remained, not as a tale of loss, but as a living land. It was the hum of its markets, filled with color and sound. It was the silence of its temples, filled with light. It was the patient rhythm of its rivers, flowing toward seas that never judged, only received. It was the faith of its people, carried like a hidden flame in the heart. Let your breath slow as you think of this empire, not as a place of struggle, but as a place of vastness, of continuity, of life carrying onward. The wars come and go, like storms passing across the horizon. But the land remains, the people remain, the faith remains. And in the quiet of night, their story becomes a song of endurance, a reminder that light never truly fades. The stars above Persia shine the same as those above Greece, The moon rises over both, washing mountains and seas with silver. And just as the world turns, so too do the stories, flowing into one another, carrying the echoes of kings, of children, of dreams. The empire of Persia, vast and glowing, whispers through the night still, reminding every listening soul that beyond war, there is life, and beyond struggle, there is peace. So let us rest now, as Persia rests. Let us drift as the rivers drift, steady and sure. Let the fire of faith glow within, quiet and unwavering. The empire beyond the wars is not a land of clamor, but of calm endurance, of gardens, rivers, and endless stars. And as the night deepens, as silence folds over the earth, let your spirit sink into that stillness, safe and untroubled. Now let us drift onward. The stars return to their gentle watch. The wind softens against the earth. And the story of Persia, glowing beyond the wars, becomes only a lullaby, a flame to guard your dreams until morning comes. The night opens like a curtain of velvet. Above, the stars are calm and still, spread wide across the sky like scattered pearls. The air is cool, touched with a breath of silence. In this dream, you drift toward a land both ancient and eternal, where mountains rise like guardians and deserts stretch like endless scrolls of sand. It is Persia, a kingdom vast, where faith was woven into stone, and where light was worshipped as a bridge to the divine. Far in the distance, a glow flickers upon the horizon. It is not the sun, nor the restless fire of war, but something gentler. It is the glow of the sacred flame, rising from a temple built not for kings, but for eternity. You step closer, as if carried on a whisper, and the night deepens into reverence. The fire temple stands simple yet proud, its walls of stone holding the weight of centuries. There are no idols here, no carved figures of gods, only fire pure and untamed. The flame rests at the center of the chamber, guarded in silence, tended with care by priests who walk softly as shadows. Their robes are white, like the early snow upon distant peaks, and their movements are slow, deliberate, like the rhythm of breathing. The fire is not ordinary. It does not burn for warmth, nor for cooking, nor for destruction. It burns for meaning. It burns as a sign of truth, a symbol of Ahura Mazda, the wise and eternal light. Its flames bend and sway, gold and amber, as if whispering stories to those who draw near. The chamber smells faintly of fragrant wood and oil, gifts offered to keep the flame alive. You hear no music, no drums, only the soft crackle of the fire, steady and eternal. Each spark is like a star breaking free from the heavens. Each wisp of smoke drifts upward, carrying prayers into the unseen, like small birds flying into the infinite. In Zoroastrian belief, fire is not to be worshipped as a god itself, but to be honored as a mirror of truth. It is light, and in light, no falsehood can remain. The priests, called magi, tend the fire day and night. They guard it from impurity, shielding it from wind, from dust, from the careless touch of the world. It is said that the fire has lived longer than many kings, passed from temple to temple, hand to hand, flame to flame. It is an unbroken thread, glowing across centuries, as if time itself bows before its endurance. One priest places a small branch upon the fire. It burns slowly, quietly, releasing both light and fragrance. He does not speak, for words are not needed. The flame speaks in its own language, a language older than stone, older than empire. You watch, and in the gentle movements of the fire, you see reflections of your own spirit, sometimes still, sometimes restless, but always seeking the upward path. Legends tell of 3 great fires that once burned in ancient Persia, each with its own meaning, each tended with devotion. The fire of kings, for power and protection. The fire of warriors, for strength and courage. The fire of priests, for wisdom and prayer. Together, they formed a trinity of light, guiding the people in their daily lives, reminding them that the divine was near. Travelers would come from far lands, bringing offerings of wood, oil, or incense. They came not to see statues, nor to bow before images, but to stand before the flame and in its glow, remember the eternal dance of truth and falsehood, light and darkness. The fire was their teacher. It burned without words, yet it taught that to walk in light is to walk in truth, and to honor truth is to honor the Creator. Imagine yourself stepping deeper into the temple. The stone beneath your feet is cool, smooth from centuries of footsteps. The walls echo faintly, holding the silence as gently as water holds the reflection of the moon. The flame in the center seems to breathe, alive yet eternal, like a heartbeat that never fades. You sit in the quiet and time slows. The fire flickers, and you notice how it never stays still. It bends, it rises, it falls. It dances without end. So too does life, always moving, always changing, never held in one shape for long. The fire teaches patience, for its strength lies not in stillness, but in constancy. It changes, yet endures. It shifts, yet remains. It is a symbol of the soul, tested by winds, yet steady in its glow. Outside, the night deepens. The desert lies in silence, the stars above watching as guardians. Inside, the temple flame continues, bright against the darkness. It is said that the fire temple is not only a place of prayer, but also a bridge between the seen and unseen. Every spark is a whisper of creation. Every shadow it casts is a reminder that darkness has no life of its own. It only hides until light appears. The priests bow their heads. One lifts his hands gently, not to touch the fire but to honor it. In their hearts, they recite ancient prayers, words soft as breath, asking that the flame within every soul remain alive. They pray for purity of thought, for honesty in word, for kindness in